All right, I'm goddamn back. All right, so O'Shea called me out. I'm back. I couldn't. I figured out, but I sent O'Shea a WhatsApp. He said I wasn't answering my WhatsApp. I didn't know I was scheduled to check my WhatsApp and answer all of them, you know, at the same. It's Saturday. All right, it's freaking Saturday. All right, but he called me out, and I'm right here. You know, he wants to discuss our different versions of Pan Africanism. So, what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wait for him to maybe pop up in the comment section or something like that, and then I guess I'll send him an invite or however that work, or we'll stop and start or whatever. But that's what we're gonna do. Oh, I want to come to. I need to come to Ghana. I have family in Ghana. I did my DNA, and I actually have. I found my genetic relatives in Ghana who has never ever been to America, ever. Right? If more people did that, you would find a connection. If more people did their DNA. Like what we need is we need more people in West Africa to do their DNA, because even the distribution of genetic code that African Americans have, if a Nigerian or a person from Ghana did the DNA test, their genetic spread would say the same thing. Mali, Burkina Faso, Togo, Benin, Southern Africa, various other different ethnic groups. So if like a Nigerian, if you look up YouTube when Nigerians do their DNA, it's the same spread as an African American, minus sometimes the European, because people forget. They act like white folks wasn't raping Africans in Africa at the same time as bringing us to the Americas and raping us. I mean, there are plenty of Africans walking around with that damn British colonizer blood in them and shit. So I don't understand why people think there's much of a difference. Go pay for my ticket. See, you should have led with that one. See, if you go, hey, listen, I'm all about it. Take some free shit. You pay for my ticket, email me. You pay for my ticket, I'll be there. Shit, y'all hosting me, I'll be there. For real. But I'm live. Now, he said 1 hour. Now, y'all know I run my mouth for an hour by myself. And y'all know O'Shea Duke Jackson, that motherfucker run his mouth for about an hour by himself. And I really do value my time, you know what I'm saying? Like, I value my time. So an hour, that's a long, you know what I could be doing in an hour? Huh? You know what you could do in an hour? So I'm here. So whenever he shows up, because I got some questions. And I'm going to see if he's going to answer it. It's real simple. What's going on, fam? I don't see what the complication is with this Pan-African. I don't see what's so complicated. I really don't. I don't see, there's no controversy. There's no, it's not a complex issue. It's I'm black, you black. That's all I need to know. I'm black, you black. Doesn't matter your geographical location. I didn't know water separated people. You know, I didn't know water disconnected us. And I didn't know that if I was to stand here and you was to stand over there, if there was like a kiddie pool in between us, I didn't know that disconnected our cultures and our race. I didn't know that, right? Because apparently the Atlantic Ocean, the distance between America and West Africa, that Atlantic Ocean, somehow the magical salt water must have separated us from our African, you know, that's why we don't have a connection, because we're separated by some salt water. But I guess dirt and land, I guess that keeps maybe the conduit, they talk, I don't know. How's that, you know, I don't know how that works. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just as African as any African in Africa. And it's just what it is. Right? Water does not define, you know, who we are, right? Africa is within us. We are born African. That's like the hardware, right? Whatever culture you are is what your culture is. Like I'm an American too. I'm proud to be an American because the best parts of America is us. So I'm not like anti-American. I'm pro-American. My entire family, my entire black family, all right, was brought over here during the transatlantic slave trade. I know and been to this master's house where my ancestors were brought over. I've been into the master's quarters and held the chains of my ancestors. I've been in the slave quarters. I've been to the unmarked graves where my ancestors were, I guess, weren't good enough to get a headstone, so there's grave. I've stood over it and poured libations on my ancestors that didn't know freedom. So I've been in my plantation, Lynchburg, Virginia. How ironic is the name, right? Lynchburg, Virginia. Not that far. I'm in Washington, D.C. Lynchburg, Virginia. right? All of my family members fought in every single war that this country has participated in. Every one of them, including myself. I'm a real warrior. You understand? Like, I'm not playing here. Like, there's some people who playing Pan-Africanism. There's some people who's playing revolutionary because the algorithm says, hey, that's trendy. The algorithm says, let's talk about this. Let's talk. That's trendy. That people follow the waves of algorithm. I don't follow the wave of algorithm. If y'all been watching me, I've been the same person since I've been on YouTube, talking about the same stuff, even when it wasn't even popular. Now look at all these black YouTubers out here on their pro-black tip now. Look all these black YouTubers on their pro-black tip now. Now that it's somewhat starting to, you know, make a little money. But back when I was doing it, I'll make a video, put a whole bunch of effort and get 25 views. Because the algorithm wasn't pushing positive content. Right? So when I be hearing people call me Tether, I'm like, dog, you don't even know who you're talking to. I'm a quintessential African American. I am the definition of African. My family is black excellence. My family is black excellence. We fought every one of these wars. All the women in my family, all of them, these are the ones who constructed, the women in my family constructed the government, working for the federal government for 40 years. Huh? All the women in my family, all their husbands and their sons participated in all the wars. All the old grandmamas in my families was working for the government, and they was building bullets and manufacturing plants across Europe, helping the troops while they was fighting authoritarianism. The same thing we fighting right now. Nobody can question my Americanism either. Nobody can question that. And nobody can question my Africanness because I've done the research. I know the first African that came to the Americas. I've done all the work necessary to find my genetic matches. And where I am in Nigeria is a portion of where my ancestors came from not that long ago. I don't know why people be thinking, we've been gone for 500 years. We have not been gone for 500 years. The African Brazilians have been gone for 500 years. The Caribbeans have been gone for 450 years. If you are an African American, you are one of the latest Africans to come to the Western Hemisphere. You've been here for 250 to 350 years. A lot of you Africans don't realize that you're only a couple grandmamas away from being in West Africa. We have, if you go to the National Archives in Washington, D.C., all right, there are records. That's why I say I don't understand the pretendians and all these weirdos and shit. White people kept records. There was no strategic reason why. There's no strategic reason why to tell us that we're not African. There's no reason like to pretend that we're in. There's no reason to brainwash us to make us believe that we are like something other than it doesn't make a difference to them. It's capitalism. Do the work. That's what they cared about. They didn't care about none of that shit. Their whole thing was to stop us from uniting. All right. And when I hear people say, you know, since, you know, I ain't seen O'Shea yet, you know, I'm sure he's around here somewhere. He'll figure it out. And then, you know, I'll give him his hour. But if an hour go by and I'm running my mouth, then maybe he won't get the hour. Because he called me the one hit me up on WhatsApp, right? And then didn't give me a time. I couldn't wake up. It's Saturday. And then he called me out publicly on social media. I guess maybe he thought peer pressure or, oh, if I call him out, he'll be forced to go live. You know, these are all tactics, right? I understand O'Shea is trying to ride the algorithm of the drama right now because right now everybody's talking about him, right? You know, I made one video, I called him out about a specific topic, and now, you know, people are making videos, and it's a perfect time to, you know, why not do a one-on-one? You know, people want to see that, right? So I understand the business aspect of it, but since I don't care about the business aspect of it, you know, I don't care about the algorithm. I wait till this shit die off and then make a video about it, just to be an asshole. But you know, because it's O'Shea, you know, I'll give him, you know, cause y'all know I don't be going live, cause I don't be wanting to talk to these dumbass motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Like they be some dumbass motherfuckers. I be like, shut the fuck up. Take his phone away from him. Huh? I wish you wouldn't pay your bill. God damn. You know what I'm saying? Shit. Like, everybody got a phone now, just right in their mouth. Be confident as hell. Don't know what the fuck they talking about. You know, but You know, O'Shea's an intelligent dude. I just think that I don't know, man. He be throwing me off because dude do Pan African stuff in the real world, but then come online and talk shit, right? And now he got, and here's the problem with O'Shea, okay? For all his good intentions, I feel his strategy, the problem is his capitalistic strategy of riding that algorithm, chasing the drama, utilizing his tactics that he used for celebrity junk in his King Ghana Pan African like style. It don't work because the thing is, you are the content you create. People, people do grow, right? I understand that, right? But you are the content that you create, right? There is content O'Shea used to make, and this before I knew O'Shea. O'Shea did do that red pill manosphere stuff, where he was part of that group that was bashing black women, right? Under the guise of equity, right? Women, men who have issues with women and stuff like that. That obviously became extremely toxic, right? And O'Shea Duke Jackson, sometimes he have a little henny. He go live and he just start going, and then maybe he forget what he say. Or and people record you. So you gotta remember, man, you say shit on the internet, even if you delete it, somebody didn't delete that shit, and they remember you for it. So your reputation precedes you. So then you slide into another algorithm, right? Because if you're in the business of making content, you gotta, and if you're trying to make money and a living off of it, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? And he slides into controversy, slides into more controversy, right? And now he got King Ghana and his dating show, all those good things, right? But how do you marry celebrity junk and that kind of content in this manosphere with Pan-Africanism? How do you marry that? Because the thing is, to be a Pan-African, it's not just, loving or working with other Africans. It's loving and working with women that look like you. Black women. If you're a black man, the first move to Pan-Africanism is loving your black woman. That's the first institution. You got to sew up the first institution, right? So the first thing you do as a Pan-African is you create a family, right? Show that you can create a unit, the smallest unit of organization. You respect your family. If you respect your mother, you respect your daughter, respect your potential wife, because she's going to be a potential mother, right? If you spend a lot of time bashing black women, it's not very Pan-African, right? Now, and so after that, you got to look at your community, right? Do I get along with my neighbors? Do I get along? How is my community organized, right? In America, we got an issue with our community as black people. Our communities fight over streets that don't belong to them, right? Our children are put in situations to where, they're picking colors and street names as their clans instead of their people, right? Because we've been discombobulated, right? So as a Pan-African, our after the family structure, the second thing should be our community and how we are in relationship with our community, right? Like if you're selling drugs to your community and you're doing things like that, disrupting your community for money, that's not pro your community, that's not pro-black. You can't be a Pan-African, right? So any of these little West Coast thug mother pluckers, with the gang throwing up, you not pro-black. If you throwing up gang signs, you're not pro-black. You're a white supremacist in blackface. You're a weapon for white supremacy. You're a tool for white supremacy. Even though you wrap it up hip-hop rapping paper, you're a weapon for white supremacy. So that's another layer, right? And then you got, on a bigger scale, then you got nationality. As a Pan-African, I care about all the black people in America, all of us, right? Even though we're all different. Within America, all black people, we have different cultures. New York, different culture from DC. DC, different culture from Atlanta, right? But I can say this, from New York to DC, there's intersectionality, right? From New York to DC, we start to fade. You get Pennsylvania, you get a little more north, you get Delaware, right? You get Philly, and by the time we get to New Jersey, and then we're in New York. You see how the cultures from DC all the way to New York, it's slightly changed, but you can see the intersectionality in both of them, right? And let's go down south. From DC, right, you got us. We go further, you got Virginia, you got North Carolina, Atlanta. Everybody know Atlanta is like the hub in the South for black folks. Everybody knows DC is the hub for black folks in the Mid-Atlantic, and then New York is the hub up in the north, right? But from New York all the way down to Atlanta, you can see the intersectionality of the cultures even though they're different, all the way down to Florida. And when you get to Florida, you got the Florida boys and the intersectionality between the Southerners and the Caribbeans. That's why I say Caribbeans ain't nothing but South Florida Floridians for real, right? Right. That's all they really is. So even though we all have different cultures, right, as it manifested based off our geographical location and the different struggles that we've had, you know, due to our shared trauma, we all are still the same, right? And then when you go on the national scale, the only thing that separates African people from Caribbeans and continental and African Americans, and I know some people, y'all think I hope y'all don't think I'm being disrespectful when I say continental Africans, but you got to understand we're having conversations, and we have to define each other so we can have the conversation. So continental African just means Africans who were born on the continent, right? I'm just saying that, not saying that you're separate. I'm just saying it as a geographical indicator of who we talking about. And then you got the Caribbeans, Afro-Latinos, and African Americans. That's the only reason I say that, right? But we're all just Africans, right? So if you look at on a national scale, what's really the difference between the Nigerian and the African American and the Jamaican? Nothing. When you see Jamaicans, when you look at their comedy, right, the little comedy skits, let's say Jamaican from the age of 16 to like 35, right? Look on social media and look how we do our comedy based off how we interact with our ladies, how we like, you know, their bum bums, how we you know, find shit funny even though it ain't supposed to be funny. If you look at Nigerian media and you look at African, it's the same shit. It's the same young boys chasing the same women, right? But just speaking a different form of English or speaking a different language, but it's the same swag, the same style, right? If you look at how like continental Africans, some of them, right, who may be uppity, but keep in mind, uppity ones we dealing with in America are uppity over there in their continent, and the regular folk don't like their ass either. All right, that's just true, right? Just like we got problems with our uppities, everybody got a problem with the uppities, right? But y'all know how we shake our ass in America, right? We got twerking, we got, you know, we just all kind of ass shaking, and people like to associate that with ghetto-ness, right? With being ghetto, how we just, our women just like to throw that thing, just throw that ass in a circle. We just throw that ass in a circle, right? But when you go to the Caribbean, right? When you go to Carnival, they're winding. They're throwing that ass in a circle, all right? But that's considered culture, right? But ours is considered ghetto. But that's considered culture. But then you go further, you go to Africa, they throwing that ass in a circle in advanced settings, okay? They put all of us to shame. Like, we think we got moves, right? And Caribbeans think they got moves until you go to Africa and see they got advanced shit they've been doing for a million years. We only got a few moves compared to their shit. And they shaking their ass in a circle at very formal and traditional settings. We all shake our ass. So how is it that you can see another black person shaking their ass and you call it ghetto and you think you better than somebody when we all do it? Because our cultures are the same. It's just modified. African American culture is West African culture, just modified. That's it. It's a continuation, right? So I'll be thinking we be having like these useless conversations that don't go nowhere. Like, oh shit, Tariq Nasheed, right? The way he set his poison pill for FBA was he was riding on that who invented hip hop thing, because he knew that African Americans we're very serious about our music, and that if anybody say they created it, we're gonna, you know, he knew people were gonna be up in arms with that, right? And that's how he got into the diaspora wars. And from that hip hop thing, it just set off. That's who had that Dwan B, the non-funny comedian, right? Who was going to the Hidden History Donut Shop performing and shit. Now he on YouTube, he uses the same thing. I'm a hip hop historian, and from there he branches out to xenophobia and hate, right? But he's not as bad. He's not as bad as Tariq, right? But he does it because he get into the bag, because he knows there's a group of people out there who watch this shit, poverty porn. People all get online and they just want to fight because they ain't got nothing else to do in their real life, right? So you know, they start these diaspora wars, and of course, because Caribbeans and black people are in fact black, right? They clap back because that's what black people do. And then once FBA hears a Jamaican or a black Brit or African clap back, they're like, oh my God, did y'all hear what they said about us? Right? And then they use FBA. It's important for them to make FBA, Foundation of Black American, to label all African Americans. That way, when somebody claps back at FBA or Tariq, they'll say, hey, look, guys, they were talking about you. But in fact, they weren't talking about you. They were talking about you, not all of us, right? That's why it's important to distinguish between FBA and African Americans. Don't call me no FBA. FBA is a xenophobic hate group started by Tariq Nasheed because he could not steal ADOS. That's what it is, right? We as African Americans did not collectively agree that FBA is going to be what we would go by, right? And just like these supposed FBA members say they don't want other people naming them, right? We African Americans don't want somebody like Tariq Nasheed who has no credentials that could be respected. He's not a real filmmaker. If he's a filmmaker, I'm a filmmaker. If Tariq's a filmmaker, then every YouTuber who's make a video longer than 30 minutes is a filmmaker. Because literally, we're all doing the same shit. So there's nothing, he hasn't done anything impressive, right? Hidden History 1 was cool because he had a bunch of other scholars talking about some stuff. Some was pseudo, some was true. But it just got us interested in our own history, right? And then he flipped the script again when he changed the algorithm. See, Tariq Nasheed's an old analog hustler. He used to sell CDs in his trunk and shit in the parking lot. The Kmart parking lot. Y'all remember Kmart? Yeah, that motherfucker, right? That type of shit, right? He with them Sinetta dudes who used to get the hotel room for $400 and charge $35 at the door, right? To have people had debates and shit. Like he wanted them. But he was actually never as good as the people Sinetta had. He was always kind of on the side because Tariq's not good at debating. He's not good at that. He's not good at being confronted with actual information. He likes to talk to people who are stupid. That way he needs to have his finger on the mute button. So anytime he accidentally talk to somebody that ain't stupid, he can mute their ass and then filibuster and say some dumb shit. Because, you know, he thinks he's a pimp and a Mac and he don't like to be talked back. Right? So he got some skills. He knows how to manipulate people who are self-conscious about themselves, who have low self-esteem. He wrote a book on it. The art of the Mac book, that was about how to manipulate people. So yeah, so he just manipulate more people now, and he found a way to make money from it, right? And that's just what he does. Like, he's not intelligent. He's just a decent analog hustler, which I find weird that people think he's funny because the dude ain't funny. Like, he's not, even when he cracking jokes, the dude ain't funny. And maybe it's because I'm from DC, and we can roast, we the best roasters. Like, we the best roasters. People from DC, we the best roasters. We are the roast masters. And we funny as shit, and we are known for comedy, and we're known for that shit. Look at some of the greatest comedians in the world. They're from here. It's what we do. Like in New York, best lyricists. When it comes to rapping, they're the best lyricists on the planet. That art form is them, right? When it comes to comedy and that art form, that verbal art form, that's us, right? So maybe my standards are high, but I don't know what y'all find funny about that dude. He don't make me laugh at all. He's pretty corny, father. Dwan B ain't funny either. That nigga ain't funny at all. Because if he was, he'd be doing stand-up, but he not. He on YouTube grifting FBA. He's probably more successful doing that. Let me see. Okay, so O'Shea still ain't showed up. I guess I was on his time, huh? Because I didn't answer his WhatsApp. I didn't move fast enough. But yeah, and then so back to O'Shea. So my problem with O'Shea is, for the money, and y'all heard me say this, for the money, he's doing hashtag FBA. He literally says hashtag FBA because if you say hashtag FBA, it pushes the algorithm. Everything O'Shea does is to push the algorithm. And I don't know if you guys know it because not all of y'all are content creators. But as of late, YouTube has changed their algorithm, right? So if you notice, all the travel vloggers, all the passport bros, all the guys that was killing it a couple years ago, because they would share your videos with your subscribers, right? They would pump it out. So when the algorithm was algorithm, right? All the people who had established older channels, they were being pushed to their subscribers and new subscribers. So the money was coming in, right? So yeah, you can get on a plane, go to Kenya, say a couple words, drum up some controversy because they ain't got no damn talent, right? And then when they do that, They got 30, 40, 50, 60,000 views per video, and they making bank, right? But now, after the algorithm change, that shit ain't happening no more. So that's why you see like Austin Holloman, that motherfucker probably live right now. Like, I don't know what kind of battery he got in his phone. Austin Holloman, I don't know what, he got the best battery because that joint is never dead. Like, that dude stay, he must got a power bank. And he just connect that shit and just sit it, power bank in his phone. Because that dude is, now he's a slave to live because he can't survive no more with his previous content. He can't survive because, first of all, he built his subscriber base as like a passport bro / manosphere dude. Then he tried to pivot a little bit when he got to Africa because he used to talk shit about black people. And y'all know I went on Austin Holloman, right? But then he started to grow a little bit. He's grown a little bit, right? But he still is him, right? But you know, I gotta be honest, he found him a woman. He went to Africa and found him a woman. I mean, and I'm not one to question anybody. She's clearly an African woman. But he did, sure enough, went to go find the most. He went and found the lightest. I don't even know how he ran into one that light. I ain't never seen one that light. But she's gorgeous. So Z is gorgeous. So like, he went and found him a good one. And I'm proud that he found him a woman. Like, he actually found a woman, which is like where other passport bros actually succeeding in what they say they're going over there for. Right? Because they say they're going over there because the women are better. But actually, they just cost less to have sex with them. That's the truth. Because real passport, let me tell you what passport bros are. Because every one of these countries I've pretty much been to already in the military. Passport bros are the friends of people who were in the military. And the people in the military was like, yeah, man, you need to go to Thailand. You need to go to Philippines, right? You need to go to Colombia. You need to go to Brazil. And then they was like, oh, for real? And they went and got a passport and went and found out. That's all. It's cheap prostitution. It's sex tourism. That's all it is. Passport bros were sex tourism. That's why I don't like to be called passport bro. I'm a passport professional. I'm on my third passport. Number 3, okay? Right? Like that's professional. Passport bros are on their first passport, and they just discovered, you know, other countries. And if you notice, most passport bros got the same problems when they go to other countries, right? They're socially awkward, and because of that, women get kind of cringy around them, right? So they got to go pay for it, right? And that's all they're doing. They're paying for sex, right? And it's really expensive to. And you say, hey, well, for the amount of money that you pay to go overseas to have sex, you could have just stayed here and bought. Yeah, you could have, but it's actually more economical to go overseas because you can leave. Because the trick is, here's the real deal. They go over there because overseas, when they say 1 hour, they actually mean 1 hour. In America, 1 hour just means you just paid an extra, but you still only gonna get that one and you're done. All right. Overseas, you can pay for overnight, right? And pay a couple $100s. Over here, if you think you're gonna get one for overnight, you're paying a couple $1,000s. So it actually is more economical to go over there. Like, that's just the truth, right? Women do it too. Women are passport chicks. They go to Gambia, they go to Zanzibar, they go to Jamaica. Oh yeah, them dudes out there, they go to Nigeria. Shit, what? Dog, that Nigeria, Ghana, the Gambia is where women, in Jamaica is where women go to have sex with black men, young black men, them older black women. They be in their 40s and 50s. You know, they got a townhouse out in the burbs and shit. Got 2 cars, no man, kids grown in college and shit, and they just trying to get their groove back. That's all. And they go over there and they go get them one of them young 19, 20-year-old, 6'4", pluck right out the ground African men. Shit. And they will do anything. Because them women be throwing money. Them women will throw all kinds. They'll take care of you, baby. Shit. Hey, y'all know them women, they go to the goddamn jailhouse, go get them a pen pal. Take care of their ass, fill up their canteen, and when they get out, try to take care of them. But 9 times out of 10, you know what I'm saying, the dude come out of jail and then skip out on them once they get to freedom. But it be that kind of woman. They just go to Africa. Matter of fact, you better off, if y'all that kind of woman, you better off going to get one in Africa. You go get you a fresh Nigerian, a fresh Ghanaian. They'll do anything you say. They'll fix your tie, fix your car, all that shit. You just take care of them. They be all right. I mean, hey, if y'all all agree, I ain't mad at it, right? But the thing is, when it comes in all seriousness, we're gonna go back to the point. Since O'Shea didn't show up, right? So let me ask y'all a question. So since O'Shea messaged me this morning, and I guess I didn't answer fast enough, and then He tagged me in a message on YouTube, right, telling everybody that I ain't show, challenging me and stuff. And then because within like 20 minutes, I'm here live and I'm sitting here, I'm outside. Does that mean he got scared and didn't show up? Huh? Is that what that mean? Did I win the debate already? I think I won already. Shit, damn right. Huh. But yeah, but O'Shea, but the main problem with O'Shea, he creates content that's creates negativity and he creates people like that Nana dude. Like the Nana dude, it's always one of the motherfuckers too. And I don't know why it is. They always from either the Gambia or Ghana. I don't know what's wrong with them niggas. They be hating on everybody. Motherfucking Ghana, they hate Nigerians. I had a boss that was from Ghana. His name was Mr. Williams. This dude was the meanest motherfucker. This dude, he should have been fired a long time ago. Like he was terrible. But he used to kiss white people's ass, and everybody knew it, right? And he was terrible to the Nigerians. He was extra terrible to Nigerians. It was horrible. He was terrible to the Ghanaians too. He was an asshole, right? and I used to give that dude the 1,000-yard stare every time I saw him. I let that motherfucker know I wasn't scared of him. People used to walk around and then the dude was such a he was such a BS niche. He would be like a mean boss to you, and he would disrespect you, but he couldn't look you in the eye. He could never look you like, and he was always like doing this shit. I always used to stare that motherfucker in the eye. Bam! I used to see him walk by. Hey, Mr. Williams. I used to go towards him just to look him in the eye on purpose to make him feel nervous. I made that motherfucker feel real nervous. Yeah. That dude was one white ass kissing Ghanaian dude, right? But I know he don't represent all Ghanaians. See, I know that. And that's the thing. See, when I talk shit about somebody, I'm talking about them. And I automatically, and I say out loud that they don't represent all people from Ghana. Why? Because I need that soundbite to be in there. I don't want to create ammunition for my enemies. I don't create ammunition for my enemies. O'Shea creates a lot of ammunition. There he is. He said, give him a few minutes. All right. O'Shea creates a lot of ammunition for our enemies, for the sake of money. Money is more important than the mission, right? Money is more important than the mission, and he creates ammunition for the enemy, right? So if you were to look up O'Shea Duke Jackson, his online presence, right, and you wanted to find something, right, that was positive, you could find it, but then you will find a lot of negativity, right, that he creates, right, based off how he speaks. And then he creates people like Nana, right, who is reacting. He said, what do you say? I'm going to enter into the hot zone. All right, O'Shea, because I got some questions I'm going to ask you, and if you give me some word salad, I'm going to make 100,000 videos, just like you, on the same topic. I don't think, and I've seen O'Shea go live on plenty of people's platform, and they ask him the question, and he beat around the bush. I don't want him to beat around this bush. I need a definitive answer. And it's about Tariq. It's about Tariq. I want to know, all right? Because it don't make sense, all right? Because if y'all look at my content, right? When I'm in Africa and I'm talking, FBA be like, they think I'm Nigerian. They be like, FBA, these groups, they don't even know I'm African American. They think I'm Nigerian. Now think about that shit now. Think about it. I'm a light skin. Look at me, okay? Even in America, I'm not regular. I'm not the standard, right? Obviously, I look like a damn Samoan. All right? When I was in Cambodia, they thought I was Cambodian. Asian people always thought I was Asian. Latinos always think I'm some kind of Latino. I clearly got some things going on here, right? But since I know who I am, it truly affect me, right? But I lost my train of thought talking about that mofo. But I understand what it's like, to be questioned, right? But at the same time, these people look at me and they think I'm Nigerian. Now, think about this now. These people who call themselves FBA, who say, we don't look nothing like Africans. They say, we don't look nothing like Africans. But when you look at me, you're 100% convinced I'm a Nigerian. Why is that? Do I look Nigerian? To you, FBA? Do you know what a Nigerian looks like? Huh? They think I'm Nigerian because they can't tell the difference. That's the thing about it. You can't tell the difference. Sometimes you can if you see like an ethnic mark or maybe some phenotypes look a little bit more distinctive, but you go to Florida, every one of them guys look like they just came off the boat. Every Floridian look like they're a criminal, illegal alien from Africa. All right, them motherfuckers foundational black American as far as they're concerned, but they look like they just got off the boat. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is the definitive phenotypical look of an African American? You can't define it because we African Americans are a mix of various different phenotypes of West Africa, and West Africans are a mix of different phenotypes from the entire continent. Like Nigeria, the problem is, as many Africans as we got that we are exposed to on social media, you still haven't seen Africans unless you go to Africa. You don't, because only certain tribes, certain nations, certain Africans has had the ability to become successful enough to make their way to the West, right? In a very small sample. So what you see is just the ones that made it. But if you go to Africa and you see Africans, the different types of Africans, even with any relative country, you'll be like, everyone looks different. Everyone has all the every phenotype that you see African Americans, they all got that, right? So it's the same, right? But we are obviously, have different experiences, but phenotypically, we all look the same. Like O'Shea looked just like he just Legos. Like he said he didn't look Nigerian. I don't know who he kidding. He ain't believe that shit. O'Shea looked like O'Shea put a goddamn dashiki on, blend right the fuck in. Like that dude blend right in. He blend in almost anywhere in Africa, actually, to be honest. O'Shea blend in pretty much anywhere in Africa, to be honest. He can go anywhere, right? Me, I look like Igbo. There's a lot of Nigerian actors that should be even bigger, famous. There's one that look just like me. Like every time I go there, they say, you look like such and such and such. And then I turn the TV, I look just like him. He's just a regular, not like Nigerian. And they not all of them bleach. A lot of them do bleach, but they got regular light-skinned folks and they're part of the Igbo tribe, right? Because a lot of African Americans have a lot of Igbo in us. We're Igbo and Yoruba. Shit, we even got we still got Igbo and Yoruba freaking villages in Africa that we established. In America that we established. So when people say African Americans don't know who they are, Americans never forgot they were African. There's never a time, that's why I don't understand when people say we don't got no connection. I'll be like, you don't have connection to history because African Americans are deeply connected culturally and with our practices with Africa. We have not made the connection ourselves in our brain that what we are doing is West African. All our food is West African. Everything we cook is West African food. Black eyed peas, that's a traditional Nigerian dish, and it's also a traditional other West African dish that they eat during holidays. Why do you think we eat it during holidays? The New Year's, that's our shit. That's their shit. They go beyond New Year. They be like the new month. The way we dance, that's all African. I already explained that, right? Root work, right? The way we are one with nature, the way we our sayings, don't split poles, all that shit. That's all West African stuff. Everything we do is West African. Hell, rap, that's just a continuation of the griot tradition. R&B, those are just traditional African music genres modified over here. All that shit. So yeah, African Americans invented rap, hip hop, right? But hip hop is an amalgamation of various different other African American art forms, right? And those art forms, like blues, jazz, ragtime music, and all those things, are different iterations of different African musical styles that were mixed together because those different African tribes with their different African traditions, when brought to Americas, were forced to live with each other. So a mama and a daddy who had a family, one may have been Denke, one may have been Yoruba. So you take that Denke tradition and that Yoruba tradition and you pass that down to their child, that child is going to have a Danke Yoruba tradition. It's going to be his own. It's going to be something hybrid, right? And if you keep on mixing that, right, and you get the Akan tradition, you get the Igbo, you get an Akan and an Igbo tradition, you get a Danke and a Yoruba tradition, and they both have children. Now you got this hybrid Akan, a Danke, and a hybrid Igbo or whatever mix, and they mix. Now you got something even more hybrid. African Americans are an amalgamation of Africa. African Americans are Pan-African incarnate. The success of African Americans is because continental Africans who were already warring with each other for various different reasons had no choice but to unite because they were being enslaved by an even more powerful force, the white savage barbarian. So you ain't got no choice. You can't be having historical beefs with your op when now y'all got an even greater op. So now guess, and then now y'all got to speak the same language, English, because that's the one they forced you to speak because they made it illegal for you to speak yours, right? So we have a connection with Africa. It's just been ripped up, tore up, and set knots, right? So we shouldn't say that. But we do have our own distinct culture. And we should be respected, right? As African Americans. Because we are the culture. Our African American culture, was driving the entire world's culture. There's a new culture that's being manifested on the internet right now. Asians, even though the ones over there, the racists, I know, I understand. All right, we understand the racism. That's a separate thing. Because even though they're racist, they still practice our culture. They still sweat us. They focus on us 24/7. What can we get from those African Americans so we can incorporate in our culture? The new future culture of the world is being seeded by African American culture, whether it be Africans, Caribbeans, everywhere. Everybody are learning from African American and using our culture to create their new culture. That's what's happening. And that's okay because culture changes all the time. So, that's fine. But, hold on, let me see. Let me go down here. Okay, these are the questions I'm going to ask O'Shea when he get on here, right? And we're not accepting word salad. Okay? We're not accepting word salad. I want to know why you support Tariq Nasheed if you're a Pan-African. I want to know why you can judge, criticize, and critique other YouTubers, but you don't critique Tariq Nasheed for doing exactly the same thing. I want to know. I want to know why you're a champion for Tariq Nasheed. What did Tariq Nasheed offer you for you to back him? Because Tariq Nasheed is clearly a xenophobic, hateful agent of white supremacy. Clearly. There's no argument. Out his own mouth, I've proven. He literally just co-signed Donald Trump blocking reparations for black people. You can hear him say out his mouth that he supports Donald Trump blocking reparations for black people. And his excuse is, oh, that's bullshit. Oh, that ain't reparations. So if that's not reparations, Tariq, what do you consider reparations? And what legislation have you drafted up, Tariq, to present to your congressman to push for reparations? What actions is Tariq doing to seek reparations, since that seems to be the whole point of FBA, to delineate from black people so that white people can say, these the niggas that we supposed to give reparations to and not these niggas. Because that was supposed to be the whole point, right? To say, hey, those black people, they don't get reparations because they're not foundational black Americans. That was the point, right? But here's the thing. The same people who enslaved us in North America are the same people who enslaved the Jamaicans and the Grenadians and the Trinidadians. And they're the same people who colonized West Africa. You know how I know that? Because we're all speaking English. Huh? So if we speak in English, that's the English. And the ones that speak French, that's the French. And the ones that speak Spanish, oh, that's the Spanish. All white people. And last time I checked, slavery started before America. And it started with those countries and the corporations that those countries backed or owned or financed. So all of us, Caribbeans, African Americans, Afro-Latinos, are owed reparations by the same white people. It's the same fight, right? Because the enemy is the same. The person who owe us is the same. But as an intelligent African American, I know white people are not going to give us reparations because it's amount to suicide. They don't have the cash. They don't have the money. Do you know what reparations was spent on? I mean, do you know what the money from the transatlantic slave trade was spent on? That's the thing about it. If you knew what the money was spent on, you'd be like, yeah, you definitely getting that shit back. The money was spent on wars. The transatlantic slave trade generated revenue so that European powers could further conquer other European nations. The whole time we were being enslaved, from the 1500s to the present day, that entire time Europeans have been at war with the Ottoman Empire, with the Turks, with various other European empires, with Prussia. It's been a mass 400 years of European genocide financed by rich white people enslaving Africans. It also financed the world conquering around the world. The transatlantic slave trade financed Europe's destruction of the planet, including Europe. All of it. Now, how you think they're going to pay us back? You think white people, right, are going to give us a 10th amount of trillion? You think white people will give African Americans, a group of people that already commands $2+ trillion in America, despite white supremacy? You think they're going to hand us over 23 something plus more trillion dollars to a concentrated and ready warrior group of Africans? You would have to be out of your complete and total fucking mind to think that they would ever do. You might as well tell them to take a gun and shoot themselves. That's what you're telling them. You're telling them to blow their brains out right now. That's what you're telling them to do. They're not going to do it. Even if they know they should do it, they're not going to do it. Look what white people just did in this news just recently. They was like, yeah, we're going to vote that white supremacist in who's not qualified over Kamala. It'll work out. That's the decision they made. After the first time. Listen, white people died by the hundreds of thousands when Trump was in office the first time because Trump refused to close the borders, refused to allow capitalism to stop making money, right? And hundreds of thousands of white people died. Millions. I think we had millions of white people died, right? And that was still not enough. We can't fight that shit. You can forget reparations. So the fight for reparations is a lost cause. What we need to do is get revenge. Yeah. We don't need white people to cut us a check. We need to take that shit and cut our own check. That's the kind of energy we on. Take that shit. So FBA crying and whining about, hey, FBA. Them niggas ain't giving you shit. And here's the thing. Here's the other trick. Let's say, because I'm a strategist. Let's say you were, since you're lineage based, you want to talk about lineage? You want to talk about lineage? Because when you do that, you open up another door you ain't ready for. And you ain't going to be able to close it. You see, when you talk about lineage, and you say, oh, my such and such was a transatlantic slave trade, and he was a slave here. Well, guess what? So African Americans have 13 to 20% of European DNA because of history. So technically, I can talk shit about white people all I want because, I got some of them in me. So it's not racist, right? You see how that logic? I can talk about Europe. Why? I got European ancestors. It's not racist. How? Just because you don't, acknowledge my Europeanism doesn't mean my DNA don't got it. I got the key right here. I got a pass, right? So if there's 20%, if black people got 20 to 13% of European DNA, what the hell do you think that means for European Americans? So what do you think they got in they shit? 20 to 30%, 13 to 20% African DNA. And when you say lineage, guess what they gonna say? When that check come, they're gonna be like, the white man gonna be legislators. My ancestors was enslaved. Yeah. All the white people gonna be like, no, I did my DNA. My great-great-grandmama was enslaved, and they got the history too. They'll show you the they gonna, oh, it's gonna be a hell of an industry. They will show you their great-grandmama that was enslaved. And they gonna get real righteous about it too. And this be their opportunity. And go ahead and question their blackness then. Go ahead and question that 13, that 20%. Go ahead and question it. Because the Constitution, if they ever were to do it, they would make sure that that distributed wealth would go with the 80% of white Europeans that got that 13 to 20% black African DNA. Because it's fair, right? Because we basing it off lineage. Huh? So FBA much rather have their white compatriots who got 13 to 20% black DNA because they great-great-granddaddy got to have their way for 100 years. Them white man got to have their way for hundreds of years with no accountability with our women. And they can get rewarded for it. Imagine that shit. Because FBA don't want a Jamaican or a Haitian to get some of it. Even though that Jamaican and that Haitian who speak English was also enslaved by that very same European that he don't mind getting some of that reparations. Huh? And how you gonna say Haitians didn't contribute to America? Have you ever heard of Chicago? You ever wonder why white people always focus on Chicago? You ever wonder why the only state white people know is Chicago? You ever wonder that? Haitians are an integral part of the African American experience. They are our brothers and sisters, and they are our motivators. They are the first black republic. They are the ones to demonstrate to the world that when black people put our minds to it and we tap into our African power, we can defeat even Napoleon's army, the greatest army in the history of mankind at the time. A bunch of Africans using their African spirituality to motivate themselves to beat the fuck out of a superior force, embarrassing them. Why do you think Haiti is still being discriminated against to this day? They ain't never forgot that shit. Why do you think Chicago? It all goes together. It all goes together. Those Haitians inspired us to revolt and rebel. Why do you think they don't teach you about the hundreds of revolts that Africans started in America? They don't want you to know that shit. They don't want you to know that the Haitians came to the Americas and helped start our revolutions here. They don't want you to know that. Why would they want you to know that? So you can kumbaya with Haitians and figure out how they do it and then redo it? Nah, they don't want that. Right? So all this diaspora wars is to slow down the inevitable. We are finding out about what we all did, right? We're all finding out together. And we're building pride. Our pride level is getting higher and higher. Black people, African people, Caribbean people, our pride level is rising. Yeah, we got a lot of work to do because a lot of us are suffering from the PTSD of the propaganda of the white man because we only argue over what they told us. Well, that's the only shit we argue about, or what they told us. That's why it's stupid. That's why I don't like wasting my time. Like right now, right? I've been live for how long? O'Shea say he be here. I'm about ready to go back in the house. Right? I'm about ready to go back in the house. Right? Because I ain't going to be doing this all day. It's Saturday. All right? We're going to have to do it another day. Because I really don't care about doing this to make money. Right? I just stepped outside because I got called out. I literally stepped outside because I got called out twice in public without even getting the opportunity to respond. Apparently, I ain't moved fast enough. So, as far as I'm concerned, O'Shea called me out and got scared when I stepped outside. Because what I'm not going to do, and I don't do this with anybody. I swear to God, I talk like this in real life. Or if anybody ever get to meet anybody that meet me, you'll know I talk like this to your face in real life. And I wouldn't give a fuck if you was 6'4", 500 pounds, because I'm just going to figure out how to put your big ass down if you try to step out there. And if you whoop my ass, you just do it. But guess what? It ain't going to be easy. I'm not invincible, but neither are you. You know? So I'm going to keep the same energy. I want to know why O'Shea is like, okay, it's like he's calling people Pan-African that are not Pan-African. And even if the reasoning for saying they're not Pan-African is saying they're not practicing Pan-Africanism, right? Or they're using Pan-Africanism as a grift. Like, I agree. There are people who do that, like Umar Johnson. Like, people think that he's like the Prince of Pan-Africanism because he calls himself the Prince of Pan-Africanism. But Umar Johnson is a roving preacher who uses Pan-Africanism as his grift. You got people who do it in the secular way, right? Motivational speakers, right? People who know how to articulate themselves in an entertaining, motivating way. People do it secularly, those are called motivational speakers. People do it using religion, those are called preachers and pastors. All right? And then you got the hoteppers who will put some history together, some anecdotals, and they would do it with that. Right? You got the Nuwabians, and you always get a charismatic leader that know how to use something. You got Muslims who do it. And keep in mind, I'm trained in counterterrorism. Okay? And that's what you get. When I'm not a guy running my mouth, just spout my opinion based off how I feel about shit. I'm a professionally trained counterterrorism expert. I used to work with I've been on patrol with the Taliban to go find other Taliban to kill. I went to other countries and trained militia forces to fight their government. I know how this shit works. I know how propaganda works. I know how unintelligence is dangerous because you have to find unintelligent people, right, in order to fill their head with the propaganda to get them to go out and do something. I've been face to face with Al-Qaeda who wanted to kill me and couldn't kill me and looked at me in my face and had the opportunity would have blew my freaking head off. How many your YouTubers sitting here trying to talk heavy shit, been in some shit like that? How many YouTubers, right, when it comes to some heavy shit, when it comes to like, cause people call me coward, and I be like, nigga, shut the fuck up. You don't know who you talking to. Like, have you ever seen somebody try to kill you and then kill themselves? You ever seen somebody blow up? You ever seen a body turn into pink mist? Have you ever heard the whistle of 7.26 rounds going through somebody's body? 100 rounds eating through somebody's body? Have you ever stood over a body for 48 hours and watched it blow up while waiting for these friends to come so you can kill them too? You ever done that? I have. I've done all that shit. Huh? Have you ever known a platoon full of people that's dead? Somebody you was talking to the other day, and then you come to find out they dead? They just got their head blown off? Or they just got blown up? How often does that happen to you? Now, we got people in the hood who got, I seen somebody get killed and stuff like that. And I'm from the hood too. So keep in mind, all this is off the top of me being from Washington, D.C., on the border of Maryland, D.C., growing up in the 80s and the 90s in D.C. 80s and the 90s in D.C. when shit was bad. Shit was bad. And then I go in the military and I get all this shit. Huh? Have you ever almost stepped on them? I almost stepped once. I was walking at night doing a patrol, and I almost stepped on a landmine and blew me and my bestie buddies up. Dead. This distance right here, between this little distance that you see right here, was the difference between Afro Think Tank and a memory. Like, I've seen some shit, guys. Like, that's why I'm always smiling. Y'all like, damn, I'm always joking, smiling, because y'all don't understand how serious shit can be. My veterans do. That's why, like, y'all, that's why I love it, because we live a different life. We've been in shit to where, you got an opponent who know you coming. It's different. Like, these dudes, thugs, they bitches. Because they go shoot people who don't know they coming. Try going to war when they know you coming. Try going to war with seasoned fighters who've been fighting for 35 years in the desert and they don't know nothing but killing. And they know you coming. They know where you're going to be, when you're going to be there, and they sit there waiting for you, and you still go there anyway with you and a few of your boys. I'm 19 years old in the middle of Afghanistan with 12 others, and the oldest person is 23. That's who out there fighting, guys. 23-year-olds, child, and they're in charge of everybody. I was in charge of 4 Taliban fighters myself. 4. Me. And I ain't trust none of them. I thought as soon as I let my guard down, they was gonna blow my head off. But just so happens they didn't like the other Taliban. Like, dog. So when I'm with you guys, I'm like, nah, y'all know. Oh, you ready? O'Shea, do Jack. You say, you ready? All right, I was running my mouth. You see what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? How I can go? All right, so how do I do this? Can I invite you? Like, do I have to like leave out Or like what? How do I do this? You're on the other page. Do you regret doing their dirty work for the imperialism? No. Because I ain't never have to kill no black people. I'm gonna be honest. The people I was fighting were the same people that enslaved Africans first for 1500 years. So I'm good with it. The other link is bad. Okay. All right. So, all right, guys. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stop this one, and I'm gonna turn around, and I'm gonna invite O'Shea and start another live. Okay. That's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do. All right. I'm gonna stop this live, and we're gonna start another one with O'Shea. Okay. So everybody stand by for the next one. O'Shea, I'm gonna send it to you on the WhatsApp. All right. That's what I'm gonna do, and then you join, and we can jump on.